Hello and welcome to sim.bc, where right now is 16:16, so about 4:15 in the pre-evening? Is that what you say? Pre-evening? Yeah? Gonna make that stick. And today, in contrast as of yesterday, is one of those days when nothing really works out. You see, yesterday I had a day where everything that I thought was gonna worked, where everything I planned for went to fruition. Everything just, clicked like that. I was doing all of my plans, fulfilling all of my goals, and everything just worked. Basically, that's the basis of it. Today, then, in contrast, nothing has worked. It's like, yin and yang, karma, whatever you want to call it. It's like the balance in the universe is just saying that, hey, you had a pretty good day yesterday, right? And I'm like, yeah, I kinda had. And it's like, yeah, yes, you worked until you wake up today. You ain't gonna get nothing done. The package that you ordered ain't gonna come. And I'm like, what? It ain't gonna come? They're like, nah, well, in a way it will. You see, you will get the email that it has arrived. You will walk all the way over there, but when you get there, it ain't gonna be there. That doesn't sound fair. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not fair. But that's how we work. That's how we utilize the situation. Yeah, I don't think I have to comment on it, but I'm kind of pissed. I actually walked all the way to my post office, the local post office, because I got a note about that. Oh, your email has come, your package has come, your new phone is here. And I'm like, yes. Finally, it's here. I've been looking forward for this day for so long. And I go all the way there and there's like, nah, it's wrong. It ain't here. And I'm like, and that was just the beginning of the day, And then when I came home, I was thinking like, well, now I'm going to sit down and do some methodology in the thesis. This is going to be all good. This is going to be all great, mates. Was it all good? Was it all great? No, not really, because I was needing to looking through some books. I didn't have the correct book. I had it in the basement. Had to go down and find it in the basement. Didn't actually find it, and so on and so forth. It has been a mess. So hopefully this day ain't gonna continue on the same kind of trajectory that I am on right now. The same kind of vector of the force of negativity, so to say. Well, why? Because today we're going to talk about something quite controversial, yeah? And I know, I ain't getting 1 million views on each video, right? I know that is not the case. It probably ain't gonna harm anyone, neither me, if I'm just skipping over yesterday's thing, right? But still, for my own sake, I'm feeling like I should talk about it and reiterate the point I was trying to make as of yesterday. Because yesterday I was stating that religion is kind of like a supporting pillar to society, and I ran that through in like 3 minutes. 3 minutes out of the 20 I was talking to. And I was just like, dude, this was not optimal. Such a controversial topic, such a sensitive issue, such a what should we say, distinct point of view, just ran by in the bypass and saying that, yeah, this is kind of how it is, now we're done, bye. That's not the best way of handling that kind of situation now, is it? And as I said, this hasn't been the greatest of days for me so far, so hopefully, right? Even though I'm going to take up this controversial and sensitive topic, it's going to be all good. I mean, what can go wrong? Am I right, people? What can possibly go wrong when I'm stating my personal opinion about something that's already controversial to the internet, right? It's gonna be all good. It's gonna be all great, mate. It's gonna be perfect. Anyway, let's get into it. What am I going to talk about? Well, basically, I've already told you. I'm going to talk to you about the idea that religion is just a supporting pillar to society. Nothing more, nothing less. Is it something that is necessary? I would argue, yeah, because we kind of need it to survive. But we're going to get into it. And yeah, as I said, this isn't the best of days, so I ain't on the top of me mojo, yeah? Ain't on the top of 110%, so just bear that with me. Just going to make another disclaimer too first. I have a preemptive understanding and a biased assumption and a biased perspective on this topic. Probably should say as well that that might lead to some confirmation bias when looking through some different sources, yeah? Just as I mentioned yesterday, I might be the victim of confirmation bias looking at different sources that just confirms my own opinion and not challenging it, no matter how much source critique I try to apply when looking at these different things that I was looking through over the last couple of, 8 days? Something like that, 8-9 days. There still can be the confirmation bias. Just putting that out there, but I've actually just confirmed my opinion more and more about this topic, that religion is more like a supporting pillar of society more than I have actually challenged that. Another thing I'm going to disclose, or, as a disclaimer before we begin, and I know it's a lot of different disclaimers, right? Hedging them as most as I can. And that is going to be that, well, I think that I'm having a very well-constructed argument and a very persuasive opinion, right, about this topic. However, since I'm focusing on the raw format, there might be some things that I think is obvious that I leave out. Why? Well, not because I want to leave them out, just because I don't have anyone to go back and forth with, yeah? So some of the rather obvious points that someone perhaps would point out, like, but yeah, all what you're saying kind of makes sense, but you're still saying that you haven't stated that slavery is evil, right? Not related. Then I would be like, oh yeah, slavery is evil. Of course it's evil, right? But I might not have stated it if that was what we were talking about, because it was something that I thought was so obvious that I didn't actually think about it and explored it. And a similar thing might happen in this case, right? But I'm going to try and go through it as well as I can. So bear with me, mates. Just bear with me. So, what are we talking about again? Yes, religion as a supporting pillar of a society. What is the entire basis of this? Well, once looking through the 7 deadly sins, yeah, because that's basically what I've been doing over the last couple of, as I said, 7 to 8 days, including the mini review. I've been seeing lots of different things that just confirms, as I said, my very biased opinion about religion as of before going into this little semi-project. And I was kind of exploring my ideas as of yesterday, as I said, concised really into like, 2 minutes of video footage. So you can go watch that if you want to, and you will realize why I'm doing this video today. So basically, when you come down to all of these 7 deadly sins, they are the problem of the deadly sins, or the reason for why they existed. My conclusion about it after reading about it is that it all comes down to a lack of self-discipline. That is why they exist. You're giving into something. You're either giving into gluttony, giving into greed, giving into lust, giving into wrath. You're kind of giving into something. And this is bad. It makes you not being able to go to heaven. It makes you more likely to go to hell if you don't repent. Right? That is kind of the entire basis around it. And why do I think that these things then are supporting society? Well, because imagine that you are poor, and I'm going to say something now that I've said before that isn't true, but it's just a saying, so that I've come up with, yeah? It's like religion is like a poor man's hobby. In the sense that it doesn't cost anything. You don't need any resources. You don't need to allocate any resources or any financial stuff, right? You don't have to pay any money to have a bit of faith. Yeah? Faith is free. It's nice that way, isn't it? And still we have these huge churches, these huge mosques, these huge synagogues that states power and nothing else really. It doesn't really matter. But faith is, when you get down to it, faith is free, right? Because you're believing in something, you're believing in God, you're believing in different gods, you're believing in a life after death, you're believing in that life is done after death, maybe you're believing in some sort of self-realization, maybe you believe in, reiteration or reincarnation, sorry. You can believe in all these things, but the belief within itself it's free. You don't have to allocate that to anyone. That means that anyone can pick it up, no matter who you are in the status of society. Which means that if I'm a very distinguished bureaucrat, right? Back in the day, I'm talking like thousands of years ago, when societies first started to form, how can I make sure that poor people ain't gonna take stuff from the richer people? Yeah, because that's a valid concern when you try to establish a society that doesn't have any clear rules and doesn't have any form of reinforcement, any form of police, let's say, right? It's a big challenge when you think about it. How do I make sure that nobody steals from anyone else. How do I make sure that you don't lie to the politicians? How do I make sure that you don't hit your neighbor and start killing people at random? Or sorry, unaliving people at random, right? How do I stop this behavior? Well, one way of coming up with this is saying that, well, I know that you're poor, right? And I know that I'm rich, but the reason for why you shouldn't take my things, the reason for why you shouldn't take my resources, the idea of why you shouldn't hit your neighbor and create a destabilization in our society is because it's a sin. Yet again, as I've been stating when I was looking through the different deadly sins and when I was trying to connect them to evil, I was like, why is this sin a bad thing? And they're like, because it's a sin. And I'm like, yeah, but why is it bad? And they're like, because it's a sin. And I'm like, okay, so that's the entire basis of it. And when you get back, like, if you think about it, right, it makes sense. Why is this a bad thing? Well, because it's a sin. You shouldn't hit someone because it's a sin. You shouldn't kill someone because it's a sin. Because it's all playing on the selfish nature of people, right? That the idea that you're not doing anything for someone else unless you're getting something in return. And when you talk about faith, for instance, that is yet again free, that you can give to the poor people, so to say. You can give it, you can't really give it, something that you find yourself, I'd argue, right? But yet again, I'm not religious in that sense. So you can give this, allocate this to poor people and say that, well, you're serving your own self-interest, in the sense that you want to get to heaven, because that's where everybody want to go to, right? You want to elevate yourself after death. You want to do something more, right, with your life. That is why you shouldn't hurt someone right now. That's why you shouldn't steal, because that lowers your chances, right, of getting something good when you pass on to the next life. So yet again, trying to attain this, right? Trying to trying to talk to the selfish nature of the people, making sure that they don't destabilize society. Okay? You with me? And in order to make them not destabilize society, we need to kind of formalize this kind of faith so that everybody has the same kind of faith, everybody has the same kind of rules, and religion is born. Is religion important? Yes, it is. Because of this reason. I mean, you might think that in today's standard, like, we have a police, we have a military, we don't need religion anymore. Well, we kind of do. Because a lot of people, imagine that the police can't control all the people in the nation, right? The military can't either, and the politicians can't either. I mean, if I want to be a bad person, if I want to steal from someone, there is not a lot that hinders me from just walk out and take something, right? I mean, and especially if everybody is of this mindset, because we don't have enough police, we don't have enough military to actually stop everybody if everybody starts to do this. Now, there are some people that are gonna do this, no matter what in society. Most people ain't. And that might be because of that they have religious reasons as to why, that they want to be a good person, that they have they have attained this, this religion has kind of talked to this selfish part of their nature that has later on developed a culture in the country of, you shouldn't steal. So for me, it's like obvious that no, you shouldn't steal. That's not a good thing to do. But that might be based on the religious values, right? The values that is on the basis of each religion. Because if you boil it down, all religions basically, right? No matter what they believe in, how many gods, if they believe in one god, the one true god, the many different gods, or whatever they believe in, they basically, when you boil them down to the core values of it, it's just good manners, right? It's just good things that you should uphold, that you shouldn't hurt anybody else, that you should be a good person, that you should go through the inner struggle of what it means to be a good person, of finding yourself, or finding God, or finding gods, or finding, I don't know, peace, or whatever, right? It all boils down to good values. When you boil, as I said, when you take it down to like the bare bones of what religion is. Yet again, because you need to have that in order to guide society to actually being able to exist. Wow, this is really convoluted. I feel like I'm losing myself. But the basic idea is that when society was beginning to form, and I don't have any sources on this, right? This is just my reasoning. This is just my logical, application on why is religion so big, right? Why is it a thing? It's because, yet again, when we created society, in order to make sure that society actually worked, we needed to make sure that we could, that poor people didn't take what the rich people had. And not just because they were going to get punished by the police, but give them some sort of, try to persuade them that they had some form of internal motivation as of why. they shouldn't do this. Yet again, why I'm thinking that religion is kind of a society supporting pillar. It needs to be there, right? It needs to uphold society, because yet again, if we take it away, what hinders me from just going out and take whatever I want, to hurt whoever I want, or to cause any form of damage that I do want to? Because it's not like I'm going to get punished unless I get caught. However, if you have religion, you get punished no matter if you get caught or not, because of a bad conscience, perhaps because you're going to get judged after your passing. And this was kind of the idea that I was trying to get at, or get to yesterday, and why the 7 deadly sins in particular was connecting to this, because these are like guidelines as of, this is not a good thing to do. If you do this, you're going to have a greater risk of getting into a bad place after your passing. However, if you refrain from these things and do good things instead, then you're probably going to get to a good place, right? Is there any form of... Is there any source on that this is actually true? That you're going to a bad place after death, or that you're going to a good place after death based on how you have behaved in your life? I would say not. Should this mean that you shouldn't be a good person? No. You should be a good person no matter what. However, I'm going to introduce this as well. But that was like the basis of it. But I'm going to introduce another thing as well. I truly believe that like every person believes in something. I think that humanity doesn't work if we don't believe in anything. I think that's a core value of who we are, right? That doesn't mean that I believe in anything, or that I don't know what I believe in and I don't believe in religion. But I don't just think that everybody believes in something. And I know that is really contradictive. People are gonna be like, well, you just said that you don't believe in anything, and I'm like, nah, it's just like I don't believe in any formal, what you would say, established religion thing, right? Maybe that I'm mixing and matching, maybe that I'm finding my own way, and I think that most people do that simultaneously. I think that if religion is a thing, then religion shouldn't need to exist, because if it is a thing, faith and stuff, people would probably find it no matter what, and you shouldn't be establishing and pushing on rules to everybody else about what you think that faith is, and establishing in such a way as religion. However, that's just my point of view, right? Not saying that I'm right. I'm probably wrong, right? Come up with the different arguments for why, and I will probably back down from that opinion, because it's not principle, it's not pride, right? It's just an observation more, really. But yeah, basically what I was trying to push into 2 minutes, and now trying to extend into 10 minutes. There were probably things and gaps in this argumentation and in this discussion that you will be like, aha, you missed this. It makes no sense, mate. And that's probably just because, yes, I missed it. I probably have a good idea as of why, in the context of why society, like religion is a society supporting pillar. I have I think that's a well-constructed argument, right? And I think there are other people out there who have the same opinion about it. I think that, yeah, it kind of exists because it needs to exist. Not because it has any relevance after death or before death, or with how the world was created or anything. Just more with that, we need, as a government, to control the people in some form of way, and religion is kind of good in that sense, in that direction. Anyway, now I see that I have 50 seconds left on the DSLR. So that was basically everything for me, mates. I said I had a kind of a bad day, and there were lots of disclaimers, lots of disclosure information in the beginning. I'm sorry if this was a really rambly video, but yeah, please leave your comment in the comment section below, and say if you agree, and if you, as most of you will, disagree. And please don't say you just agree or disagree, but tell me why you agree or disagree. I think it's kind of an interesting discussion to have there. One that I'm going to try to refrain from in the future, because, there's no winner and no loser when it comes to religion, because everybody has their own opinion. It's hard to change it. But I'm as of the mindset that this theory of supporting pillar, that supporting pillar society theory is something that I could change my mind about. So please leave a comment about it. Have a nice one, mates. I'll see you tomorrow with the SNR Saturday News Recap. Have a nice one.